Hello and welcome to Face Off here on France 24. President François Hollande hasn't said whether he intends to run for re-election in a year's time. However, with his popularity at record low levels, some rivals on the left are preparing their own run. And this could prove a death knell to the Socialists. With me to discuss possible rivals on the left for François Hollande, Jean-Marc with the Figaro magazine, and Philippe Turle from Radio France Internationale. So this Monday, a former minister of François Hollande, Arnaud Montebourg, who broke brutally with the president 2 years ago, made his political comeback, all but saying he wants to run for president next year.
Ready to take on higher responsibilities. Arnaud Montebourg made his political and media comeback at a yearly outdoor gathering in his home region. First order of business for the former industry minister, reminding the public of his attachment to leftist values.
Being from the left means always wanting to defend our liberties. It means trusting in the intelligence of our citizens. It means acknowledging that political power must sometimes take priority over economic power.
At a time when France's socialist government is at its most unpopular and faces criticism from within its own party, Montebourg's declarations had all the makings of a presidential campaign announcement. Yet for now, the former minister has only spoken of his vision.
It's time to wake up and to offer an alternative vision for the country. Better a vision without a candidate than a multitude of candidates with no vision.
Montebourg came into the spotlight for his Buy French campaign, during which he posed in a striped sailor's jersey. He left the government in 2014 following a public row with François Hollande in which he repeatedly criticized the president's austerity politics, a move perceived at the time as a statement of intent regarding his political ambitions. But Arnaud Montebourg may have to wait in line as he joins a growing list of dynamic leftist ministers with an eye on the Élysée Palace. His successor and current economy minister, Emmanuel Macron, has been primed for a 2017 campaign, and Prime Minister Manuel Valls has also appeared at times ready to take the reins of France's Socialist Party, were Hollande not to run for re-election.
And the list is long of would-be presidential candidates. This Tuesday, the French president went on national radio. He did not, of course, say whether he will run again. He is promising to do so by the end of this year. However, he clearly says that if he runs, he needs to be the only candidate. Let's take a listen to the president.
There is no alternative on the left to the policy that I represent and to the government that is now in place.
Interesting times. 1 year away from the presidential election, the president will wait 6 more months to give us his verdict on whether he will run again. And clearly, this begs the question, are there other potential candidates on the left?
Yes, two things about what you just said. I mean, the repeated appearances of President Hollande now every week on some kind of mass media means that he's running. I would have doubted his intentions like 6 months ago, but now, I mean, he is there. He is all over the place in the media, so this means he's a candidate. So this mystery he wants to entertain, like, you'll know in December if I run, this seems to be pretty ridiculous. But on the other hand, his very low popularity, his very low ratings, leave a huge gap, leaves an empty space at his left that tempts a lot of people, beginning with Arnaud Montebourg, which we've seen right now, and a long list, be the former leader of the Greens, who was a minister in Hollande's former minister in Hollande's government. You have even the prime minister who might be a potential candidate, Emmanuel Macron, the economy minister, plus Jean-Luc Mélenchon, the leader of the left, plus. You have would-be candidates piling up on his left without a real front-runner in the whole bunch.
Right. So the popularity ratings Jean-Marc was alluding to, they've been really, really bad for François Hollande right now. He's hovering around 16%, which has never been seen in France since the advent of the Fifth Republic. So clearly you have a very weak president, a president who allegedly, even though Jean-Marc just said we know he's going to run, but still, there's still 6 months left. This leads others to have lots of ambitions, and they probably know that they have to decide now if they want to have any chance.
Well, there are several ways of becoming a candidate. Either you announce your candidacy well ahead of time, like a year ahead of time or more, which will give you time to build yourself an image, to get support, to obtain funding for your campaign, or you wait until the last minute to keep the suspense up, which will be the case of François Hollande, as long as possible until December, even though, as Jean-Marc says, everybody knows that he's probably going to be a candidate. And everyone's always known right from the start of his mandate that he probably will run for a second one. So it won't be a big surprise if and when he does announce his candidacy. So there are a couple of ways of doing it. The big problem for all these other candidates is that no one for the moment knows whether there's going to be what they call a primary in France.
Because I was about to say, there is supposed to be a clear mechanism.
Well, there is, but the problem is that as François Hollande hasn't said whether he's running, if he's going to run, he will not take part in a primary. And because he's the president, he will be like the natural candidate for his own succession. So that will obviously put a damper on the candidacy of Arnaud Montebourg, who himself would love to be candidate and who is banking on the fact that François Hollande won't be a candidate, so there will be a primary and he will win the primary to be the Socialist Party candidate. So he's up against quite a big lot of problems to have to sort out before he's actually going to become the candidate of the left. And the other one, of course, is Arnaud Montebourg strong enough to federate all the different candidates within the left to back him if he is to be the candidate for next year. So it's a long shot. He's starting early to try to build up the support base, but he's got a lot of hurdles to get over before he becomes the candidate.
If I may jump in, the probability of a primary on the left is really remote now, because look at the timetable. It's almost zero because the timetable is too tight. Yeah. I mean, you need a lot of logistics, organization for that, and the socialist or the left, broadly speaking, is not in a position now to organize this, but on a reasonable timetable to be ready to get ready for the presidential election.
The problem about the primary is that if there is a primary now, is François Hollande going to take part? Because those who are wanting to run, some of them would like François Hollande to take part so that he has to answer questions about his mandate and what he's done over the last 5 years. Others don't want François Hollande to take part because they say he's not the candidate of the natural candidate of the left. He should stand down and let someone else take over because he's too unpopular. And while that hasn't been sorted out, then there's never going to be a primary, and François Hollande doesn't want a primary.
But
so it's very complicated.
Yes, but one thing is very simple, and we'll just look at some poll figures. If there is another candidate on the left, inside or outside the Socialist Party, this would mean that François Hollande virtually has no chance of making it to the second round. For instance, if the Conservative candidate who will be designated through a primary is Alain Juppé, he would make it to the second round and face off with the far-right leader Marine Le Pen. François Hollande would only get 13.5% of the votes, against Jean-Luc Mélenchon, the leader of the far left, who would also get 13.5% and who has already said he would run for president. Similar results if Nicolas Sarkozy, the former president, is the conservative candidate. He would not score as big a score as Alain Juppé, but he would also be in the second round with Marine Le Pen, and François Hollande would be out of the race. So this means if there is another credible candidate on the left, François Hollande is dead.
Yes, he's almost dead right now.
And we have one candidate already. Jean-Luc Mélenchon will run.
Jean-Luc Mélenchon will run. So, and as you said, he's almost coming head to head with François Hollande. It means the left is really deeply divided. But it doesn't get any other candidate coming from the socialist would he make a better tally than the president? Probably a few points. But now the gap with Marine Le Pen is so big that who would be convinced that anybody would do better than Hollande? Maybe 1 or 2 percentage points, but not enough.
But this means that if he is to survive this election, he needs to kill a candidacy not only within the Socialist Party, but on the left. If not, he has no chance.
There's an interesting fact. I mean, when you're dead in politics or half dead,
you're alive.
You can be reborn like a phoenix. So that is something that he's banking on. He says, okay, well, I'm unpopular now, but maybe in a year I might be popular all over again. So let's hope he's not going to kill anybody between now and then. But there is a way that he might be able to score some extra points, and that is by using his weapon, who is Emmanuel Macron, who is the economy minister, who we're hearing about in the report just now, who is very popular on the left and who has created this
very
movement.
Much to the right of the left.
This movement called En Mouvement, the way forward, which he says is neither left nor right. And I was reading a very interesting editorial in one of the French newspapers today, which said that, in fact, Emmanuel Macron might declare himself a candidate in July, and Emmanuel Macron, being popular, would then run against François Hollande, and then when it comes to the election campaign next year, would stand down in favour of François Hollande and bring all the support base that he's created between now and then to François Hollande, who would then make it through to the second round.
And he is the only person on the left, I mean, especially around François Hollande, who brings new ideas. Be it really right, but he brings a program. He has something to say. But when you look at all the opponents on the left, it was all hot air what Mr. Montebourg gave this weekend. I mean, saying economics shouldn't dominate politics, big deal. So how do you do that? But there is nothing there, nothing clear. They have nothing to propose.
We'll have to stop it here. This is obviously going to be a matter of debate in the coming weeks until François Hollande declares whether or not he will want to have another mandate in the Élysée Palace. Thank you very much to both of you, and thank you for watching this edition of Face Off on France 24.